All right, I think we can go ahead and get started. So hello, thank you all for joining me today. My name is Jim Coppinger with ZenTech Consultants. And today we're going to be talking about sharing files between the field and the office in real time, making use of Bluebeam Studio. So let's go ahead and kick this off. So for those of you who haven't worked with us before, we're ZenTech Consultants and we're a premier Bluebeam sales partner. It means we provide sales, technical support, and training on Bluebeam Review and all its related products. We also develop and sell our own industry-specific tool chests that, excuse me, we'll install and you can work with right inside of your own current Bluebeam installations. And one thing I always like to stress when we do these kind of presentations with folks is that we are a premier Bluebeam partner, which means that we sell the software. So when it comes time for you guys to add licenses or seats, or if you're just looking at Bluebeam, looking to buy some new ones, or maybe you've bought them in the past, right? We can always beat the Bluebeam direct pricing. So we hope that you guys will keep us in mind and give us a call when you're ready to go down that road. So let's start with the concept of what is Bluebeam Studio. So Bluebeam Studio is part of every Bluebeam review license, meaning that if you're on this call and you already have Bluebeam and your people are using it, you already own Studio. You already have it. It's available for you. So what is it? It's a cloud-based hosting and collaboration site that lets your people out in the field, right? People who are not necessarily in your office who have access to your servers, gives them the ability to actively open and modify files from anywhere in the world, from any device. And the great thing about it is that as they're making changes and modifications to those files, we're going to see here today in this presentation, is that not only do you have that one central location where everybody can access the files, but you can actively have people working on the same file at the same time. You can even have a real-time communication so that as folks out in the field are doing inspections, investigations, punch list, as-bills, whatever it is you have your field staff doing, they can actively have that information being translated in real time back to your office, okay, with any kind of internet connection. So it's a wonderful thing. So the one thing that I will say is part of this really ties into what you are using for your field workers out in the field. And one of the things, as you can see, we're doing a little sales pitch here for our field first systems. And what our field first systems are we use the Microsoft Surface Pros, and they come preloaded with Bluebeams fully installed on it, as well as Microsoft Office and all the Microsoft Office programs. And we also bundle with that training for your field staff on how to actually use the programs and how to actually work with this in the field. So it's kind of an all-in-one situation where the Surface Pros are strong enough that you can actively use Bluebeam and literally any other product, Excel, PowerPoint, Word, in the field for all of your communications and control needs, but while still being able to have that ability for your staff to pick up these tablets and walk out into the field and use them from there. So it's one system that's meant to replace their current laptop or desktop and the tablet. All too often what we see people try to do with Bluebeam is they get the iPad or the little Samsung Galaxy tablets, right, because they think they want to have that real-time connection. And the truth of the matter is, with those tablets, they are not strong enough to run any type of program, particularly Bluebeam. Even though there is a version of Bluebeam for iPads, it's a lightweight app. It's not the full-blown version, and it's really not strong enough for what you're looking to do out there in the field. All right, so my strong recommendation is you guys take a look at our field first systems, all right, because the Surface Pro was really developed with Bluebeam in mind, believe it or not. So having said that, let's go over and I'm going to jump over into Bluebeam Review. We're going to talk about Studio and how it works and what the idea is. So the first thing, like I said, I want you guys to understand that you may already own this. There are no fees associated with using Studio other than your initial license purchase. And the great thing about it is that Studio provides you with unlimited file storage. And I mean that quite literally. If you want to go in and open and upload 300 or 400 terabytes of information, you can absolutely do that. Okay, so I'm going to go here and I'm going to click on the work online. I'm going to log into Bluebeam here real quick, just to show you guys. It's a simple login, and this is what your people would do from the field. All right, just go ahead and log into Studio. And you see that when you get into Studio, I'm just going to expand this out a little bit so you guys can see what I'm talking about. There are two areas. All right, there's a concept of projects and the concept of sessions. And we're going to start with projects, which is just pretty straightforward file storage. All right, that up here I can go ahead and I can create a project. You see I've already got a project here called ZenTech project. Right? And I have this in place, and I'll show you how to create a new project in just a second. But the thing that I wanted to show you guys here, right, is I want you to understand that Bluebeam Studio is not limited to hosting only PDF files. You notice up here, I've got images, right? I've got drawing files, AutoCAD DWGs. I've got Excel spreadsheets, right? Different PNGs and GIF files. I have all kinds of information. I can build folder structures and projects and subfolders and subfolders. So whatever type of project or folder structure or file structure that you need your people in the field to be able to access, you can recreate that very, very easily here inside of Bluebeam Studio. And again, you can go in and look at any of these. And what's nice is that as you hover over any of these documents, it gives you a little drawing preview just so you can see exactly what's in each one of those. Right? You can see I can actually, with a little check mark, I can check drawings in and out to kind of lock them down for myself. So if I want to edit this file and not let anybody else edit it, I can check it out and it'll make a local copy for me. And then when I'm done, it'll check it back into Studio. So it also doubles as a lightweight document management system, but one that's much easier to use than most of the others that you'll find out there. All right. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go back to home just to kind of show you. And I'm going to go ahead real quickly and show how easy it is to actually upload and create a new project. All right. So I'm just going to go up here and I'm going to say I want to start a new project. All right. And all I have to do is give it a name, and I'll just call it my demo example. My typing is bad. I apologize. All right, so, and I actually still misspelled that, but it's good enough. And you see, all it's going to ask you to do now is I can upload files, I can upload folders, I can create new folders and subfolders. I'm just going to go ahead and upload an entire folder here, and I'm just going to go to my SharePoint site, right? And I'll just grab one of my my SharePoint folders here, and I believe I have one under my advanced users class. There we go. I'm just going to grab this project, and I'm just going to grab that folder right there. Right? And you'll see what it's going to do is it's going to go in and it's going to grab every file that is in that folder and it's going to upload them to Studio, just like that. Right? Immediately now these files are accessible to anybody that I give access to this project. And right from here, I can go in and I can create new subfolders. Right? So if I wanted to add a new subfolder for, contracts, I can just go ahead and do that. Right? And then I can just go into the contracts folder and I can add files to that just with a simple right click. So you can very quickly and easily get all the information, all the files that you need for your field staff out into Studio without any problem. Now, what's also really nice about this is that you have total control over access and control issues. Right? So just by clicking on the settings button up here, you'll see that I have the ability to do a bunch of things. Number one, I can turn on notifications so that as the project manager, every time anybody adds a file, modifies a file, goes into my job, makes a change to a Bluebeam markup or comment or anything, I get notifications. And I can get those in real time, or I can have that summarized down to a daily digest, right, for each of my jobs. I have total control over user access. I can invite individual users to allow them to access this project, or I can pre-create my own user groups. So if I wanted to, invite all of the people here at Zentech to be part of this job, I can predefine groups, so I can just pick them on a project by project basis. Or if I have, regular consultants that I use, or maybe I'm just doing a design review and I want to invite certain people in my design staff, I can just grab those and give access to those groups. Once I've given people access, then I actually have the ability to control what those people can do. So you see the same thing here. I could add groups. So if I want to set all my Zentech users in and bring them in, right, I could very easily have them come through, right, and structure all the stuff that I'm doing in it. For some reason, I jumped off of my Bluebeam review there, which was a little weird. I'm not sure why, right? But there it is. But I can actually set permissions for them as to whether or not they can invite other people, add new files, anything I want to allow or disallow them from doing. And I apologize, there's some construction going on in the next office over from mine. So if you guys hear some noise in the background, that's what's going on. Then I also have the ability here when I have projects up there, even to get down to inheriting or structuring permissions on the folder level. So you see here I can go in and say I've got the project folder and the contracts folder, even to the point where if I wanted to say, hey, general attendees, right, just anybody other than people who work here at Zentech, I can hide that file, that entire folder. They won't even see the contract folder. Okay, so that's the kind of control that I get when I'm dealing with a project. And what's beautiful about this, like I said, it's unlimited storage, right? And you can actively have, and the next thing we're going to talk about sessions in just a moment, but you can actually invite up to 500 people to access your project or to be part of an ongoing Studio share session, right? So what does that mean? And the first question that I always get with that is like, well, what if the people I want to invite to work on my job, what if they don't have Bluebeam? Not a problem. Okay. Literally, the only person out of those 500 who will have to have a Bluebeam license is you, right? Because it will also include, when you invite people, it will give them a link to the Bluebeam View, right? Which is a free downloadable plugin that will run inside of their browsers. So right in there, Internet Explorer, Chrome, whatever they're using, they'll be able to actually log in and access the projects and access all of the sessions and markup tools, right, that you want them to be able to use, even if they are not Bluebeam users, which is an extremely powerful process. All right, so the next thing that I want to talk about here is the idea behind sessions, right? And sessions is a really, really powerful tool. And for my money, it's absolutely the most powerful thing in all of Bluebeam. People love it, and you do a lot of quantity takeoff and markup and design review, and it's absolutely wonderful for all of those things. But I think without question, the session setting is the most powerful and important tool inside of Bluebeam, because this is what we're here to talk about today, really. It allows you to do two real important things when you're dealing with sessions. And what I'm going to do here, just to kind of show you, is I'm just going to take a couple of files, just grab these two, they're quick and easy, right? And I'm going to add these files to a new session. All right, and I'm just going to call it my example. Hopefully I can type it this time. Example session. Right? Now, the two parts of a session, while that's setting that up, right, and you see it's building it, it's putting the documents in place for me. So right now I'm the only attendee. I'm the only person logged in here. But what I can do, remember I said that we can have up to 500 people accessing a project? I can have those same 500 people accessing a session. And sessions work in one of two ways. I can do them kind of on the fly, one-off sessions. So if I go in here and I just click on this drawing and I open it up, okay? Now, as I go in and I start drawing markups, and here's where it's going to be really important for your field and office personnel. As I start generating markups, right? So when I come in and I'm doing field markups, right, and I'm coming in and I'm adding a call out and saying, hey, there's a problem over here. Take a look at this, whatever my note is. Right? I can go ahead and add all of my comments and notes. What's great about this is that as your field personnel add these comments and markups on their Surface Pros out there in the field, hopefully our field first version, these comments and everything that they're doing will appear in real time on the screens of anybody else who is currently logged into this session. And again, that can be up to 500 people, right? They don't have to do anything other than just put it in, and it automatically adds all of their comments and markups. And the same thing, if your office person now is looking at this and goes, oh, okay, you know what? I need to change that or modify this, right? Or I need to just come in and I need to add a reply to that. So they can come in and they can just right click on it and say, hey, okay, you know what? I need to add a reply to this particular markup, right? They can just reply back to that and say, here's the issue, whatever it is. Right? And they can put that note right in place. And as they do that, that note appears immediately right here so that your field staff can see it and they can reply back and they can change statuses and states and add comments and values and do all of these things that Bluebeam does so well, but they can do it in real time. Now, that's also true, like I said, for anybody who you invite to these sessions who may not have Bluebeam. When they log in through their the plugin for their browser, they're going to have all of these markup tools up here at the top, and they're going to have the same side panel in their browser for accessing and working in Studio. Now, that's really nice, but that's only half of what sessions do. That can be really, really useful. Right? And you think about that in terms of if you got a PDF where you may have 15 or 20 different pages within this one PDF, you can have one field person out there who's putting in markups and punch lists on the first floor because that's pretty much done, and you have another one who's doing structural inspections up on the 15th floor of your high rise in the same document at the same time, and your field staff can actively see what's going on. That's huge, right? But where I think sessions shines even more than that, where I think it's much more important, is that you can actively leave this session running forever. I can start a session on the first day my project kicks off. Then I can leave that running for the next 4 years. And why is that important? Because if you notice over here, I got a record. So you see it showed me everything that I did. I added that call out. Then I edited it, right, to put in this comment, right? Then I added a response, right? And then everything that I've done, right, it shows me step by step. And what's beautiful about this is that it does it for everyone who's involved in the session. So I can come in here today and I can add a ton of notes and punch lists and comments, and then I can put them over to my buddy Rocco for review. Okay, I can point those out and say, Rocco, and you just take a look at all of these, things that I saw in the field. Rocco may not get into this actual session for another 3 weeks. Not a problem. When Rocco opens it up under notifications, it'll say, hey, Rocco, here's all the stuff Jim asked you to look at. He can just go one at a time through those and add comments and changes. Well, let me classify, not changes. He can add his own comments and recommendations and replies. But the great thing about it is it keeps track of everything everyone does. And I can't delete or modify Rocco's markups, and Rocco can't delete or modify mine. So it becomes this communications and control center for every aspect of your project, from kickoff through final closeout and handoff. It's absolutely amazing. All right, we can even up here, we can do things like setting status. All right, we can set customized status. So if Rocco's out of the bit, if I'm going out on vacation, I can tell him I'm on vacation until, March 1st, right? So that Rocco knows when he logs in, right? That's my status. When he logs in, if he's waiting for me to respond to something, he goes, oh, I'm not going to hear back from Jim until March 1st. He's on vacation, all right? So I can set the status, right? I can invite all the people that I want, same, just like I did with the projects. I can add people to the sessions. So some people may have access to the files, but only my field staff has access to the session if that's the way I want to work it, right? I have total control over the settings here, right? Just like I did before with access and permissions, who can do what inside of a session. I can add more files. I can even add files that are not in Bluebeam Studio. I can go out and add files that are on a Dropbox or a SharePoint site. So maybe the architect, you want to add the architectural files, and the architect is sharing his files with you on Dropbox. Or maybe you've got like one contract that's being hosted on your company's SharePoint site, and you just want to open it up for a little while and give people access to it. And then when you're done, you can remove these. Okay. So you can actively have all of these people working and modifying and setting these in a real-time basis from the field, right? And that's the key. And like I said, where we talked earlier about, when you're working in the field, something important to remember is, if you're going in and you're trying to give your guys, iPads and smartphones and figure it out, it'll work. All you wind up doing there is frustrating your staff. Those they're just underpowered for real world work. All right, and like I said, that's where we went in and we partnered with Microsoft and Bluebeam, and we're putting these field first systems out there because they're meant to replace your entire computer system. Right? It's one system that your field users can use when they're in the office. They can use the same system when they're working in the trailer, and they can literally just pick it up and hold it in one hand and go right out to the site, and they can take photos. Right? That's again the other stuff that you can do. Notice that there's a camera integration right here in Bluebeam. So just by clicking this camera on their tablet in real time, they can take photographs of the site. So they can just go right in real time, right? And they say, hey, there's a problem. Look at this. They can just go ahead and they can capture. I'm just going to do it from a file because I'm working on a laptop here today, right? But they can literally just take a photo, right, and say, hey, we've got a problem. And then just like that, attached to that note, there's the image. And they can put hundreds of images, right? If they want to go in and add more images, it's very easy. They can take more photos. They can go in and take full-blown pictures of all the walls of the interior of the room, and you just work your way through all of these different photos, right here in place, and it's all embedded and tied in, and that happens in real time. So when there are issues, when there are problems, when there are concerns, and it tells me, right, Jim added the captures. This is what Jim did on this date and time. Right? I know exactly who did what, when, where, why, and how for the entire life cycle of my job, right? So like I said, you think about it in terms of now, if there was, in the way that most of us work today, if there was a field issue out here and he took pictures, what are we going to have to do? Well, he's going to have to take photos, right? And those may be on his camera or on his smartphone. And then he's got, maybe if he's lucky, he's got a small iPad that lets him simulate and do maybe some Excel, or maybe he's typing some notes and he can email it to you. Then you get the email, but you don't see it for a day or two, and it rolls at the bottom of your screen, and you don't reply. And now everyone's, well, what happened with that? What's the status? All of that information, everything from the status as to what's going on with everything in here, Was it accepted, rejected, canceled, completed? And these are all fully customizable for Studio so that you can actually set your own. It's under review. It's pending architect's approval, on hold until June. Whatever you want to set, this is all customizable. And even the communications here, like I was shown before with, replying back and forth, instead of emails and things getting lost, all of that can be handled right here in real time inside of your Bluebeam Studio structure, right? And that's where the real power of Bluebeam Studio comes into play, right? So that's what we wanted to point out to you. Because like I said, all that functionality and capability, and you probably already own it. How's that for amazing? You've got it in your hands. All you have to do is structure and train your field staff on how to use it. And of course, ZenTech Consultants, we would be happy to work with your field staff and you to help you consult, put together, a good workflow process on how to do this. Again, we can help. We can sell you the hardware, the software, the training, and the support to make this happen for your company in real time. So hopefully that gives you guys a good idea of what you can do with Bluebeam Studio. All right. And if you guys want to have some more information, or you'd like to talk to us about using Bluebeam Studio within your own companies, or if you have questions about our Field First systems, those Surface Pros that are designed for integration with Bluebeam and field use, please reach out to our sales staff at sales@zentechconsultants.net. They'd be happy to set up some consulting time so we can talk about how that'll work for you. And our phone number is up here on screen. And if you guys are just looking for some more information on maybe getting your folks trained and up to speed on the best ways to use Bluebeam, we offer arrays of classes for every level of user, from brand new beginners to high-end advanced users who've been working with it for years. So I want to thank you guys for joining us today, and I hope that you'll have a wonderful day.